Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. Today we're going to talk about a OG Broly deck that I made. Pretty much what happened was there is this new championship pack Broly that's coming out. It seems really cool, and I wanted to see what I could do with it, and it didn't make sense to run it outside of the OG Broly just because you need a green Broly leader, so I wanted to go through there, and yeah, I made this deck. It's pretty fun. I don't think it's the final build by any regards, but it's definitely a good first draft, and I think it can be tuned from here on out to kind of fit a meta where it could actually be viable, which is really cool. So let's just jump on into it. So first, let's talk about the leader. This is an old set 1 leader, and set 1 was right before my time, but I remember hearing ramblings. OG Broly with hand control is actually pretty good, and I could see why. At first, it was like one of the first leaders where you could plus on the Awaken side, just because if you have so let's just talk about it. So two things. One, permanent, it can't attack battle cards. That part's a little annoying at times, but it's not too bad as long as you get other stuff. You can usually put some stuff on the board, so you can swing with those to get rid of your opponent's battle cards, but it is a bit annoying. Also, auto when this card attacks, both players choose one card in their hand and place it into the drop area, so that can be neat. And then if you there's a field card we'll talk about later that it doesn't affect you, so essentially your opponent's the only one who's negging, and since they're negging and you're not, you're getting a +1. That's kind of the gist of it. But there's that, and since it's an old leader, it's a Awaken draw 2, and then on the Awaken side, so permanent still can attack battle cards, but when this card attacks, you draw one card. Then both you and your opponent choose one card in your hand, and also one card on the field. Send them into the drop area. So which can be pretty good in the sense of just being able to just offer a lot of destruction, and making your opponent kind of run out of resources. That's kind of what this deck is, making your opponent run out of resources and then just capitalizing off that. So and I think it actually does a really good job, especially with being a draw 2 leader is good. And so let's continue from there. So first, let's talk about Frieza's Army Healing Pod. This is probably one of the more important cards in this deck. So it's a field card, auto once per turn. When you play a green battle card from your drop area, draw one card. So immediately you can see that with this green Broly, that can be really good. You just pay 2 green energy. You get this from your drop area, which is already a +1 because you're playing a card from your drop area without having to play it from your hand. So that's good. You have to pay 2 energy, but it's still good. And then you also get an additional +1 just by Frieza's Army Pod. So there's that. There's also, you can play 4 energy to get something for free from your drop area, and you can actually do that to get this Deathless Warrior Broly like a surprise kind of thing. But normally you just kind of plop this guy out there and just continually draw cards from there. So that's really good. And let's keep continuing. So let's just talk about the Broly cards. So we've got Broly Dawn of Rampage. Auto, when you play this card, look at the top 7 cards from your deck, add 1 green Broly among them, and then shuffle your deck. So good for just getting some kind of advantage turn 1. Being able to play this, look for 7, making sure you can find this 2-drop, and then if not, probably this 4-drop is the next one you want to find. 3-drop is not super important, but it can do some plays. So there's that, just being able to do that. So I think I've talked about this card enough. But this card is just great, and you can abuse just a lot of it's one simple effect, you can abuse it. So there's that. Also, if you have a bunch of these in there, you can just activate all of them. So it's not like a hard once per turn or anything like that. You can just play it and go from there. So that's cool. Next, we got Endless Evolution Broly. So when evolving this card into a Broly from your hand, the evolve cost is increased by 2 green. So that really only matters for this guy. So it's just saying this is a 1 green to evolve. So and then also when you play this card, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and KO it. So being able to blow up something with this is great. They have to be able to choose it, which also means that it doesn't get around barrier. Not that it would if you get to choose it, but just for ruling's sake, they have to choose a card that doesn't have barrier. So if they only have barrier cards, they can't choose one. So there's that. And then going to the 4-drop, and so also you can do the 3-drop into the 4-drop, and then you only pay 4 energy. So 3 for this. The evolve is reduced by 2, and then you get into this guy. So it's 1. So you can play both of these on turn 4 instead of just playing this guy verbatim. But So first, when evolving this card into a Broly with a different card name from your hand, the evolve cost is increased by 2 green. We don't have any of the other higher Brolys. I thought about it, and I've tried the big 7-drop from set 6. It just didn't seem worth it. I mean, it was kind of like a big menace, but I felt like Fu, the Dark Banisher, was better, so that's why I'm putting that in there. But yeah, so when you play this card, if your leader card is a Broly, your opponent may choose one of their battle cards and KO it. If they don't KO a card this way, they instead choose 2 cards from their hand and place them in their drop area. We offer so much card destruction with our leader and all the other cards around it that it's pretty easy to resolve this to drop 2 cards from their hand. And that's pretty devastating a lot of the time. We're controlling their hand a lot, and being able to just plop 2 down just does a lot. So great card, and I wish it had like crit or double strike. Really, I don't think it'd be broken if it did, because it's just a big 20k. But yeah, it does a lot of controlling, and your opponent just hates to see this. And then also, you can just evolve off the 1-drop Broly or even the 2-drop Broly. So if you play one of these and your opponent doesn't bother to get rid of it, then you can just go into this turn 3. It's really nice when you do that, and it's either that or your opponent, expends resources trying to blow up your other Brolys. So it's good from that regard and can help you out a lot. What else? I think that's all the Broly cards. So let's kind of jump into the mismatch that I added in there. So first, we've got Newfound Power, Son Gohan. This card's great. And in a lot of decks, not just this one, but just being able to self-awaken and then also have like a 15k crit coming to your opponent. Either they crit a life, which is important, or they since it's 15k, they have to combo 2 cards from their hand to survive it on an unawakened leader. So that's almost like worth it. Like 1 energy, discard 2 cards from their hand. So great from there. What else? We also have Shocking Death Ball, just as our negate. It's great for blowing up your opponent's cards that they don't want anymore, and just the fact that since we're not an untapped 2 leader, and since we're kind of strict in our energy, just being able to use it for that, and also just to strictly, frankly, self-awaken with this card is great. So there's that. Paragus, best super combo for green, so being able to cycle through our cards more, find what we need. If we have like extra like Frieza's Army healing pods in play, we can just warp those and just get a lot of value from there. We've got double impact Krillin, so when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 2 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO it. This is in here for a couple of things. One, just blowing up cards is great. And we don't really have a good way around barrier, but also if they summon like Mercenary Tau and like the side, or if they just main deck it for whatever reason, we just can pop it real quick. And just in general, being able to pop things for free, or not for free, but for just 2 energy is great. What else do we have? We also have K-Way Key Master. So this card is included. If you don't know the ruling, you might think this card is kind of lame, but at the end of battle, after you combo with this card from your hand, if your leader card is green, play this card in rest mode. So how this resolves is that you combo with this card goes into your drop area, and then it activates in the drop area to play itself. So Frieza's Army Healing Pod actually activates when you when you combo with K-Way Keymaster. So being able to get 1 card draw on your opponent's turn and also get defense, and then also get a 15k out for 1 energy is a lot of as a small value swing that can help you out a lot. So it's just in there for that. I'll show some other cards that I thought about. There's also like the Tien, who if you combo 2, it comes out for free, and then has like some like blow up effects. I tried it out in this and it didn't really work. So K-Way is just cool for that, and it's a cool effect. Next up, we've got Honed Moves Yamcha. So it's a 15k crit for 3, but also when you play this card, you may choose 1 card in your life, add to your hand. If you do so, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and places it in the drop area. So just being able to be a 15k crit with pressure, and also offer some just pressure, really. It's just and self-awakening as well, just because we don't get a lot of value from our unawakened side, but just getting up to our awakened side is great. And yeah, just once again, this is kind of like a 3-drop Gohan, and just offers pressure like that. I tried the Hyperspeed Goku, the 3-drop that came out of Clash of Fates. It's the one that you take up to 2 life, and if you took at least 1 life, you gain plus 15k in crit for duration of the turn. So it's a big 30k crit. I felt like he was powerful for Self Awakening, but not powerful for Control. I'd rather do Yamcha just because he guarantees a card out of their hand, and then also they have to deal with a 15k crit attack. Because at 30k, they pretty much just have to decide to negate it, which means they just dropped 1 card. But if you use Yamcha, you get to drop 1 card, and then also they have to drop 1 or 2 more cards to take care of the crit part. So I felt like this card was more value and got more cards out of your opponent's hand, but that might just be me. And then also we've got Surprise Attack Frieza. Just once again, it's a crit boy, and we do so much card destruction that it's really easy to proc this as long as they're playing cards. So, just to make sure you know, Broly does not KO cards on its awakened side. It just sends them to their drop area. So you can't use Surprise Attack Frieza to you can't use it for that. You have to actually KO a card, not just have it sent to the drop area. But still, great 15k crit, and you get a lot of value from there. Also, I don't remember if I said this, just in case I didn't. So this card, you have to choose one of your. They either choose one of their battle cards and KO it, which they can't with barrier. So if they only have barrier dudes out and you play this, they have to drop 2 cards. So. Because it says if they don't KO cards this way, they instead choose 2 cards in their hand and place in the drop area. I don't know if I said that, but now I did for sure. So after all that, and also last really important finisher. So we've got Fu the Dark Banisher. So it's a triple attack, Overwhelm 8 for 4 energy. Your opponent can't activate skills unless they choose 1 card in their hand and send it to their warp. So yeah, just the fact this is just a really, really good finisher. Just the fact that it's it can do 3 damage. It's a triple attack. And since we are already so focused on destroying our opponent's hand, they might not be able to have combo power or just cards in hand to negate this card's attack. So it's great that way. Triple attack is kind of absurd on just kind of a thing you can play on turn 4. So that's cool. And it's just good for finishing. This used to be the 7-drop Green Broly, but I decided to take it out. So let's talk about some cards that I considered real quick, and then we'll get out of here. So first of all, so some other Brolys we can go into. I don't feel like this one. Yeah, this just KO something, which we already do enough of. There's this 5-drop. So you can evolve this for 4 energy, which can turn into 2 energy. And when the card evolves in this card, your opponent chooses 2 cards from the hand and place it in the drop area. So that could be great if we're going for like strictly hand control. So, and it's a double strike, 20k. So really good in that regard. It is a Broly, so if you play like the 3-drop Broly, and then you can go into this for 2 more energy, so you can still play it for 5 essentially, and guarantee 2 card drop instead of Deathless Warrior, which you can your opponent has to can play around it, but this card can be good. I just didn't find room for it. And then also, what else? So there's the 6-drop. This is kind of the same thing, but they choose them randomly, and it's a big 30k double strike. I felt like the other heart card destruction just did well enough, so I didn't put that in there. And then also Broly the Supreme Berserker. So this card evolved for 5, and so it can turn into just evolve for 3. But critical, barrier, and then auto once per turn, burst 5. When this card attacks, if your leader card is a Broly card, choose 1. If your opponent has 3 or less cards in their hand, switch this card to active mode. And if your opponent has 4 or more cards in hand, they reveal their hand, choose 1 card from it, and then your opponent places it in the drop area. So this card can do either the finishing blow you need to do. So it can be essentially a dual attack crit. Or it can just be a 30k crit, and then also you get to choose what card you take out of your opponent's hand, so it can be really important in that regard. I just had a really hard time committing the energy to putting this guy out, so that's the only reason. I felt like Fu was better 9 times out of 10, just because guaranteed 3 attacks and a 25k that can also rip cards out of your opponent's hand more than once. It's great. So I also thought about Overflowing BioWarrior Army. When this card is placed in your drop area from the battle area, if your leader card is a Broly, you may place 1 card from your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do so, play this card. So if you have your field card out, you can just kind of cycle through this card. but you have to drop one card, so you're not plussing one at all. You're just going even a lot of the time. But cycle is cycle, which is great, and it's a 15k, and it can also, on your opponent's turn, it can just make them not want to kill this guy because they know that you'll just get it back, which can offer some help. But yeah, I just couldn't find the space for it. I didn't like it that much because it strictly was. I felt like Broly Everlasting Vengeance was good enough. So what else? I think that's it for those cards. Also, alternatively from going from the Frieza's Army Healing Pod, you can also do just Broly's Ring. This card can be good. It's a field card, and since you can only have one field card, you can't have Healing Pod and Broly's Ring out at the same time. If you could have both out, I would definitely consider running both, but it's essentially permanent. Your hand is not affected by your leader card's Broly skill. So when you have this card out, you essentially +1 every time you swing because your opponent has to discard a card and you don't. That can be a lot of help, and in a lot of ways, it can be Frieza's Army Pod kind of needs you to invest energy into getting your card advantage, right? But this card, you just have to swing to get card advantage. So it's kind of like that. Broly's Ring is better at getting like consistent card advantage, but I think Frieza's Army Healing Pod can get more swingy card advantage. So that's just something to think about. There's also, lastly, there's some 2-drop Paragus. So if you do like Broly's Ring, you can run Paragus Controller of Monsters. When you play this card, you may place one card from your hand in the drop area. If you do so, choose and activate one Broly's Ring from your deck, then shuffle your deck. Having to drop one kind of sucks, and but you kind of already get a card for free, so there's that, and then you get card advantage for like the rest of the game. So that's a good thing, and that's not too bad. And there's also Paragus Quelling the Beast. And this is from the new anniversary box. Permanent cards in your battle area can't be placed in the drop area by your skill, so it means that you don't have to drop a card from your opponent, from your Awakened Leader swing. And also, when you play this card, just draw one. So it's like a 2-drop with cycle, so it's not like terrible, but it's good for just if your opponent, if you want to get value from your leader, you can just play this card, you draw one, and then you swing, and then your opponent has to blow up a card and you don't. So that can be good. I don't know if it's great. So I think that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys would do to change for it. I think there really is something here. I've always said like the Green Broly. I wish we had a bit of a better Green Broly OG leader, but this has some potential. It is definitely kind of clunky, so it's not the best, but I think it's worth investing into, and I think there could be like a niche where this can really work out. So this is going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.